This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. Canada's High Court has ordered a new manslaughter trial against a man for the death of an Indigenous woman. Dan Karpinchuk has more.
The Supreme Court of Canada ruled that Ontario truck driver Bradley Barton should be retried for manslaughter in the case of an Indigenous woman who bled to death in a motel room after a weekend of rough sex. The man's acquittal of first-degree murder is not changed. The High Court said evidence about Cindy Gladou's sexual history was not handled properly during the 2015 trial. In a written statement, one of the judges said the criminal justice system holds out a promise to all Canadians. Everyone is equally entitled to the law's full protection and to be treated with dignity, humanity, and respect. And Cindy Gladou's status as an Indigenous woman who performed sex work did not change the fact that her life mattered. In the original trial, the jury heard repeatedly that Gladou was a prostitute and a native. Sheila North is a former Grand Chief for Northern Manitoba.
It's worth looking to see back at other cases and see where mistakes were made, especially when it comes to Indigenous women. It was almost a complete disregard of who she was just because she was an Indigenous woman, that it turned out the way it did. And how many more cases are we talking about across Canada that it ended up this way? And so I think we have to be brave as a nation and look at where mistakes were made when it comes to Indigenous women and girls and fix them.
The case led to countrywide protests about how alleged victims of sexual assault, especially Indigenous women, are portrayed in the courtroom. The Minister of Indigenous Relations says the High Court has issued an important warning to the judicial system, and that is to counter the prejudice against Indigenous women and girls. For National Native News, I'm Dan Karpinchuk.
Alaska lawmakers have endorsed a tribe's effort to rename Saginaw Bay over its connection to a warship which laid waste to Tlingit villages in southeast Alaska. Jacob Resnick has more.
The body of water off Kuyu Island was named for a U.S. warship that laid waste to 3 Tlingit villages in 1869.
As a clan, we never relinquished the rights to this bay.
That's Dawn Jackson, executive director of the organized village of Cake, the federally recognized tribe. She told Alaska lawmakers that having the bay named after an episode of military aggression is an affront.
It's been a contentious history of how Saginaw got named. And in 2018, our tribe passed a resolution unanimously to move forward introducing and putting back on the land our traditional name of Saginaw.
The Alaska House of Representatives unanimously endorsed changing the name to Saginaw Bay. The Tlingit word means security. Earlier this month, a petition was sent to the U.S. Board on Geographic Names, which will add to its list for consideration this summer. The Alaska Historical Commission, U.S. Forest Service, and others will have a chance to weigh in before the federal board makes a ruling. The 3 villages destroyed by the USS Saginaw were deserted when the gunboat attacked, but soldiers landed and deliberately burned the winter food stores and provisions that, according to oral accounts, led to the starvation of an untold number of people. Other Southeast Alaska place names, including Murder Cove, Surprise Harbor, and Retaliation Point, speak to a series of dark episodes that came to be known as the Cake War of 1869. For National Native News, I'm Jacob Resnick in Juneau, Alaska.
Tributes continued to pour in over Memorial Day for New Mexico State Senator and Navajo code talker John Pinto. He passed away last week at age 94. He dedicated his life to public service and is being remembered for advocating for tribes on a number of issues, including education, economic development, and veterans affairs. Pinto served for more than 40 years as a state senator. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Trickster Gallery and American Indian Veterans welcome all veterans to Reconnect in Unity, the 5th annual National Gathering of American Indian Veterans at Cantigny Park, Wheaton, Illinois, July 26th to 28th. TricksterGallery.com supports this show.
My day one.
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 Day one. Telling inspiring stories of alcohol recovery. Recovery works. Hope starts here. Go to recoveralaska.org to learn more.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.